About a week ago, Nintendo released a new patch for Animal Crossing New Horizons, which was quite a surprise as the last one we saw was all the way back in February. I guess it was a Valentine's gift from Nintendo. However, this patch didn't really address anything Animal Crossing specific, which means that Nintendo will need to release another patch, probably before the end of the year, to address some of the Animal Crossing related issues that are in the game. I think a lot of people were expecting that we would never see another update patch again since it had been so long, but this new one proves that they are still paying attention to Animal Crossing, and they even still do online maintenance for it regularly too. So let's take a look at what changes we could likely expect in the next patch. For a start, one that I think some people would have rushed to have checked when they did release this update is Leif. His weeding service is still fairly broken and the requirements for it are honestly unrealistic. As it stands, the amount of weeds that you need to use this service is more than what can naturally spawn on your island except at the very start of the game. To be honest, I don't have incredibly high hopes about Nintendo fixing this. They may not think that it's broken at all, but it really is, as you'd actually need to plant more weeds if you wanted Leif to come and de-weed your island. I've heard some people say they've been able to get it to work in certain circumstances and such, but as it stands, the majority of players have not been able to use this feature at all. I mean, I play literally every day and Leif still will not come and weed my island. What's up with that? So it's not exactly a glitch as such, but still, it's something that Nintendo does need to address in a patch. After all, there was no point really adding this feature if the majority of players can't even use it. Since we're on Harvey's Island, Kix is apparently still broken as well. A lot of players have had an issue buying impish wings in the month of October once they built Kix on Harvey's Island. It seems that this glitch is directly related to building him in this place. I have heard some players been able to get the impish wings at Harvey's Island, so it seems like this may be a player-to-player issue where some people can and others can't. But it's definitely something that Nintendo needs to address in my opinion, as no player should be locked out of getting a certain item just because they built Kix on the island. I mean, that's where he belongs. I feel like this is one that Nintendo honestly wouldn't notice without more people talking about it. I did make a video in the past and I'm hoping that maybe somehow they could see some of these videos, but who knows. Either way, this glitch is exactly the sort of thing that they would address within an update in my opinion. There's also a campsite glitch which I saw Memori talk about in a video a while ago. The way it works is basically that if you convince someone to leave your island who is already planning on leaving, there's a chance that you could send your incoming camper into the void. It's very strange to me that Nintendo hasn't addressed this glitch in any update. I feel like it's been in the game for quite a while now. Now, apparently when this happens, you don't lose the villager completely, they will just go into your villager queue, but that is really annoying and we all know that the villager queue system is really not that good in Animal Crossing New Horizons. This isn't one of those fun glitches as well that have seemingly been in the game for ages and Nintendo never patches. This is something that is genuinely detrimental to players, and apparently it gets even worse when you use amiibo cards as well. So yeah, this is definitely something that Nintendo needs to look into and address in the next patch in my opinion. It's gotten quite a lot of attention online from players, so I feel like they must know that this is a thing. So let's hope that they do take a look into stuff like this. There are also lots of harmless exploits, and I'm not going to go over most of them in this video because I've talked about them in past videos multiple times. But I will say one that's really interesting that I feel like Nintendo may fix, that I really hope they don't, is actually the Kapp'n exploit. As you know, you only get to go to one Kapp'n island per day, but you can effectively reset the island that you go to because the game doesn't actually save when you start up with Kapp'n. That means you could make it much easier for yourself to get those rare islands like the Star Fragment Island without having wasted a whole bunch of your Nook miles. After all, it's the only way you can pay to go on a Kapp'n island, and like I said, you only get one trip per day, so if you get an island that you don't like, this exploit could be really helpful. I definitely feel like Nintendo didn't intend for it to be this way, given that they did put so many limitations on Kapp'n Islands. I feel like the way they probably would have intended it is like when you go on a Nook Mile tour and the game saves just before you go. That means that you can't reset Nook Mile Islands, so you have to spend all of those resources if you want to get to one. Personally though, I think this exploit is really harmless and I honestly don't think Nintendo should touch it. It would be a little bit of extra effort in their part to actually make it so the game saves before you go on a Kapp'n Island, and I'm really not sure if they would want to even put that effort in. It doesn't really harm the game in any major way or anything like that, like some of the glitches in the past have to do with money and such, so I really think it's unlikely Nintendo will touch this one. but I thought I should mention it in this video as something potentially that Nintendo could look into in the next update, alongside any of the other exploits that are still currently working in the game. Nothing is really safe with Nintendo, but we can hope that they might stick around. I know another question that's been on a lot of players' minds is, will Nintendo patch modding in a future update? When this update dropped, I saw a lot of comments of people saying that, oh, mods must have been patched, or have mods been patched? And no, it wasn't the case where that happened. Do I think it's possible that Nintendo could outright ban modding at some point in the future? Well, honestly, not really. They could probably come out with patches that make it more difficult to mod for a little bit of time, but modders would always find ways around this, and Nintendo knows it. Nintendo typically does do a lot of things to try and discourage modding and hacking in games, especially if it affects other players online. That is a big no in their books. But really, I can't see them coming out with an update to completely ban or stop modding. There's always a slight risk when people do stuff like this. After all, we've seen a lot of YouTube videos taken down about this particular part of the game. But without any official statement from Nintendo, I wouldn't get too worried about it. I try my best not to worry anyone on this channel. So we've talked about all kinds of fixes and exploits and such that Nintendo could work on in the next update, but what about new content? Now realistically, the only piece of new content I would expect to see in the next update patch is the 2023 Balloon Arch and for the years beyond that. I'm honestly still not confident that Nintendo would add these in, but it's definitely a possibility. As we've said before, we did get some new items beyond version 2.0, so it can't be said that Nintendo wouldn't do this sort of thing. But I really don't know if they're going to put the effort in. I feel like realistically they could technically get away with not having this item in the game. It wouldn't really upset people that much, and they didn't have a second anniversary cake or anything like that. So I don't know, my hopes definitely aren't high for them adding these balloon arches in, but it would be a nice little surprise if they did do that before the end of the year. But let me know in the comments section down below, what sort of realistic changes and fixes could Nintendo make within the next update? Of course, we all know they're not going to come out with any major new content, but what is maybe some exploit or glitch that you could see them working on? If you made it to the end, be sure to comment Bob's Gang down below so I know you did. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and turn on channel notifications for more. I want to say thank you to these channel members for supporting me and the content that I make here. Their contributions allow me to keep making videos. If you want to support these videos and get some great perks for doing so, like access to our members only Discord, exclusive Bob emojis, and much more, then click the join button down below the video or the link in the description.